Hi everyone, my name is Marissa Bolaños and I am a doula with Womb Revolution. And today I want to make this video to talk to you about birth sounds. The reason why I want to make a video about this is because a lot of the times when I am either working with people at prenatals or talking to people about this, it's hard to get into practicing these sounds. Sometimes it has to do with people feeling shy about it, but it also has to do with me feeling shy about it. And a lot of it, when I started digging about this and trying to figure out why, um, has to do with my own upbringing of always kind of being told that I was being too loud, that I was making too much noise, that I was speaking too loud, that I needed to lower my volume down and not make too much sound. So I know that this is not only for me, it's kind of a common thing for people to hear that they have to be quiet. And I mean, it's different for everybody, right? But I think I see a lot of people during birth trying to not make so much noise, trying to just control themselves. Even I will hear once in a while someone that is at the birth, maybe a nurse or a midwife, using that word, like the word control, like being in control for a lot of people means not making too much sound, just staying quiet and staying inwards. However, making sound during birth can be super helpful. So today I want to talk to you about it a little bit. The first thing that I want to talk about is the different kind of sounds that I will hear people make during labor. So sometimes when people are starting labor, when you're in early labor, you will be just breathing through the contractions. And people sometimes will close their eyes, sometimes they will keep them open. If you want to practice the kind of breathing that is most commonly used during labor, all you have to do is simply breathe in through your nose, then you breathe out through your mouth. So that is a little sound, right? When you are breathing out through your mouth, it allows the opportunity to make a little sound. Sometimes in yoga classes or other kind of movement classes, they will encourage you to breathe out, making a little bit of sound. So that can be a really good place to start. If you are practicing your breathing, making a little tiny bit of sound when you are exhaling is going to be a good beginning. So let's practice that for a second. Oh. Mm. So that is how sometimes people will start, and that is how a lot of people want to stay for the whole entire duration of labor. But at some point, it starts to get really hard to just keep everything in. And that's when a lot of people will start going into different sounds that maybe are not as productive. Um, and the most common thing is people will scream, right? And we all have heard stories and watch movies or watch video clips or TV shows where people will be screaming during labor. And I love when people practice this. So if you want to practice with me, let's see the difference that it makes in your body when you're making different kinds of sounds. So if you're screaming, the most common sound that people will be making is ah, ah. So it's ah, right? Like the sound ah, and it just goes into this place. So if you practice with me, and I hope you do, just try to scream for a second, like in that pitch with the ah, like so it would be like ah. You immediately feel how there's tension on your throat is closing, and the same thing will be happening to your pelvic floor. So if you are observing that sound in your body and try to pay attention how it feels in your throat, how it feels in your pelvic floor, it is creating tension, it is closing, it is stiffening. So opposite sound to an extent, which we can do when we are at that place, is instead of going into the high pitch ah, would be going into the low pitch oh. So instead of going like that, let's practice what happens when our body makes the sound oh. So it would be oh. You even can feel how it like deflates. It's just like going down, sending the energy down towards your bottom, towards your perineum, as opposed to when you're screaming ah, like it's going upwards. So one of the things that I like to do when people are in labor and they're having a hard time doing these low pitch sounds is I have a didgeridoo, and I love playing it during labor to help people when they are getting into that situation. So I'm going to show you how it sounds. The nice thing about the didgeridoo is too that you can feel the vibrations, because sound vibrates, and that's how we feel it. So it's almost like a massage that is going through your body, and it's like it feels really good, and it feels good to have a sound that you can try to match, so that you are not just trying to make these sounds. So sometimes when you're in labor, you can feel a little bit scattered, a little bit like you don't know exactly how to do that or where to go, or it's so easy to just like jump into this mode of wanting to scream and doing high-pitched sounds or wanting to escape that contraction. Some people will even stand up on their tiptoes. So I think that the sound of the didgeridoo can be really helpful. Or you can just choose, it doesn't have to be a real didgeridoo. It can be, you can choose some music that has didgeridoo or low sounds or low moans, and you can match yourself to that frequency. The other sound that can be really helpful is just blowing raspberries through the contractions. So when you're starting a contraction, you take a deep breath, you go one of the things that can make a big difference for staying on top of the contraction is to hold those sounds, hold that exhale as long as you can. So you take a deep breath and you would go So try to hold it as long as you can, because that will slow down your breathing and it would allow you to, stay on top of the contraction, if that is making sense for anybody. Of course, another sound that is universally very calming to the body is Om. So if you feel up to trying that one, it can be really effective, and it's pretty much it's very similar. It just has like a different frequencies somehow than just saying oh. So you would just, same thing, take a deep breath at the beginning of the contraction, the breath hello of the contraction. So that is another one that I really like for using during birth for people that are open for it. And the last thing that I want to demonstrate to you is singing during contractions. So there is one song I originally saw it for the first time in the documentary Ina May and the Farm Midwives. I think that's exactly the name, but I don't remember. Anyways, if you Google Ina May and the Farm Midwives, you will find this documentary. You can rent it online. And there was a song in that documentary that I liked. So I tried it when I was having my first baby, and I have used it several times at births with different people. And I really like this song because, especially for early labor, if you sing it once, it's almost exactly always as long as the contraction will be. And then when you start moving towards more active labor, maybe you will have to sing it twice. But it's a nice thing to keep your mind off the discomfort of it. You can just be singing this song and opening your body and staying in a different mindset. So the song goes like this. I'm feeling very open, like a flower in the morn. Let my petals open, let my child be born. Towards the end, when the contractions start getting longer, you can sing a second part of the song, which is very similar, which is simply changing one word, which would be like this. I am feeling very open, like a flower in the morn. Let my petals open, let myself be born. And of course, towards the end of labor, it gets harder to do. So at the beginning of labor, you might be really good about staying on certain sounds and making you might feel very in control, right? You're making these low pitch sounds, you're blowing raspberries, your breathing is going well. And then towards the end, it's normal to get to that point where you feel like you cannot do any of this stuff anymore and you feel out of control. And that is completely alright. And if you're screaming when you are pushing, sometimes that's just what you need to do. It is nice when you can keep that energy focus on pushing the baby as opposed to focus on trying to escape, right? Sometimes when we make these sounds, it's almost like we're trying to escape the contraction, we're screaming and we're just throwing the energy outwards instead of pushing it down. So that's something to be mindful of, but a lot of people need to scream during the pushing stage. Just be mindful of your voice, give yourself really good breaks, and yeah, just like be nice to yourself. You don't want to have like a super sore throat after you give birth, but sometimes it just happens and you know how to do it. You know exactly how to do it. Sometimes it feels like you don't know, but you do. You just need to be able to listen to your own body and listen to your own intuition, and you're gonna do it right. So that's what I have to say about sounds during labor. If you have any questions, feel free to write to me or send me a message through whatever media you can, and I will be happy to answer. I also have a blog post about bird sounds, but I really wanted to make this video because I think it can be very useful to actually hear the sounds as opposed to just reading about them. Anyways, I hope you have a good day and talk to you soon. Bye!